I'm sure you're getting a ton of pleasure out of teaching as well.
Mm.
What do you find yourself like teaching the most, and when do you feel yourself most energized? Like, because something that I feel is I like learning and teaching as well, but if I'm teaching the same thing all the time,
Mm-hmm.
over and over again, it gets a little boring for me. And in fact, one of the Energy Toolbase product managers that I interviewed, he used to be a professor of English as a second language, and then he got not so bored, but he got kind of bored of it. And
Uh-huh.
that's why he got into coding, and that's how he found his path in career as a coder of software, and eventually at Energy Toolbase, and he's been there for 6-7 years plus maybe now. Um, but like, how do you keep that energy going in what you're doing, um, and how can Solar Academy help direct people? Like, one of the thoughts that I was having as you're talking about all this, oh my gosh, Sean knows so much, and I wonder if he gets energized by getting a ton of different types of questions, or does he get more energized by perfecting one course and improving that course over time and just keeping it time over time again?
Yeah, like I teach a lot of different types of classes.
Yeah, I've
So
seen that
there,
on the HeatSpring. You
uh-huh.
have, should we show that also as
Yeah,
part of
I have
our
like 30
conversation?
something classes on HeatSpring, and
Yeah,
then I teach classes too, and for like online Zoom classes for
yep,
utility engineers and the Caribbean, and
yep,
for energy storage, and there's another company I've been doing a lot of work for out of Singapore,
yep.
BII World, and um, and and what energizes me, I guess, is like a big class. Like those are the best.
Yeah,
Like
like a
some people,
big classroom, you
or
mean?
yeah, just like a lot of people. Like yeah,
I see.
I remember the first RE Plus, the first time they called it RE Plus instead of SPI,
I'm
that
gonna
they
I'm gonna
that they
cut you off for
had.
a second, and just for 1 second, for
Uh-huh.
Solar Academy viewers, I want to take us to HeatSpring, which is one of the leading educational platforms for the clean energy
Yeah, and if you go
industries.
heatspring.com/Sean,
Oh, okay. I did a
that's
Sean White page, but
that's
obviously
that
we
I
can do
think that'll
Sean
probably get
here.
you,
Yeah,
and that
yeah, I've
takes you to
seen
all
this
my
page
classes.
before. Yeah,
And then
this is your profile page as
mhm.
as a teacher here, and all the different courses
And
and
so we have
bundles of
bundles that are
courses,
multiple courses, and then
and then you have
32
32.
courses. Yeah.
Wow, this is really cool. Yeah, I remember seeing this. This is
So
very
that's,
cool.
yeah, that's a lot of work putting all
And a
that
bunch
together.
of, and some free courses as well as
Hmm.
a ton of different NAPSEP certification courses. Got it. And so, but what you were saying, what energizes you the most is having a big room of people and
Yeah,
teaching.
yeah. So like
Yeah.
it was the first RE Plus, or right after COVID. And so
Hmm.
so we had about 200 people in our PV and the NEC class with myself and Bill Brooks.
Hmm.
And that's just super energizing.
Yeah.
And sometimes when I'm, negotiating to teach a class for somebody, like a lot of times companies hire me to come and teach for their company, and they're like,
Yeah.
they try to get it for per person. I was like, for me, it's kind of the opposite.
Yeah.
It's less painful to have more people,
Yeah.
or I shouldn't
Sure.
even say painful, but like it's more fun to have more people.
Yeah.
And so I don't, charge them more for more people. If anything, I'd want
Yeah.
to charge them more for less people, just
Right.
because like, if I had a class with 4 people, I end up sitting down and wanting to take a nap.
Yeah.
But if I have 200 people and I'm teaching with Bill and we're like telling jokes and everything, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Got it.
Yeah, and then other things that I love it when, great reviews. I get a lot of good reviews on HeatSpring.
Yeah.
A lot of people, yeah, I love it when somebody's like, yeah, I wouldn't have passed my NAPSEP exam without,
Yeah.
your
Sean's class.
class
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
your book and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
that makes me feel good. That really energizes me. I remember one time I was taking a NABCEP exam when they used to do them in person,
Hmm.
and I was standing in line or something like that. And it was kind of funny. It was like everybody standing in line was holding my book. And I was like, and they're like, hey, what are you doing here? You wrote the book. Why are you taking the test? And there's all these different certifications. And so
Yeah.
I forget which one I was
Yeah.
taking, but that, that energizes me. Uh,
Yeah.
Another, and so, but it's like, if you want to go and teach a 40-hour class over 5 days, you're going to have some days that are more tiring than other days. You're going to
Yeah.
wake up tired and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
I really try to just have fun and
Yeah.
connect with the students and, not
Yeah.
sit down too much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes I'll sit down and work on my computer, but I try to,
Yeah.
keep the blood flowing and things like that. I try to make it fun. In fact, speaking of Jacob Travis, and the reason that he hired me to teach at the Ontario Solar Academy is
Mhm.
because he saw on my resume and on my LinkedIn that I said California Comedy College graduate.
I saw that. Yes. So you did comedy.
Yeah, so I went to in San Francisco, and I went and took some classes at the California Comedy College,
Yeah.
and I just try to have fun.
Yeah.
It's like, what better way to learn than to learn while you're having fun? I remember when I was younger, they used to have like laugh and learn traffic school, but
Hmm.
I just think like learning and having fun and is
Yeah.
just makes it so much better. And so I try to make learning really fun as
Cool.
much as I can, especially with my heat spring classes. And
Yeah.
so my heat spring classes, we spend like hours and hours and hours sometimes just making 15 minutes worth of video. And I have 5 people that work for me that help edit the videos and things like that, and try to make things fly around on the screen, just make little fun things and
Yeah.
say things that are unexpected, that, yeah, just to make them fun.
Yeah.
And I think that about out of every 500 people, there's one person that gets, is like, come on, we need to get serious here. And so,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then the other
They feel
499,
guilty for
they
having
love
fun.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
they love
Yeah.
it. And then,
Cool.
and so I only cater towards those, 99.8% of people, or
Got it.
whatever it
Got it.
is. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
For people to get a sense of your style, which one of these courses, free courses on HeatSpring, would you recommend?
Yeah, the one that's the intro,
Mhm.
like there's like an intro class.
Is this Intro to Solar PV Design and Installation Code
Yeah,
and
that's a free
code?
class,
Yep.
and that
Hour
one.
46
Yeah.
minutes. That one
And
you
I
would
think that
recommend
it's
this one?
like, is that like 10,000 people have taken that class?
Yeah. Wow.
So,
10,000
and we
people.
redid
Yeah.
it too. So
Yeah.
I'm
Wow.
sure the reviews are even better for the more recent
Yep.
people that have been taking that class. It gives
Yeah.
people 1 hour of NABCEP credit.
Yep.
And the reason that we put that one together was just, to give people an idea of how fun it can be. So,
Great. Got it.
and good, lots of learning. It's sort of like the greatest hits.
Yeah. And if a larger company is planning, like what's a large audience? You get it at the conferences, I'm sure. Where else do you find yourself getting large audiences? Is it
Well,
within big utility companies or within big corporations? I don't know, do you get to go train or to educate people at Amazon and Google and Facebook? Because they're going to be major
I'd
hogs
like
of
to.
energy. They're
Yeah.
really going to be the biggest consumers of energy because, IT and energy, computing and IT and AI has been growing at 25% in energy consumption per
Yep.
year for the last 10, 20 years. And they're very soon going to overtake the transportation sector, I hear, in energy consumption. So these guys got to learn. So I'm just curious, like, where would you like to go and
So I would
catch
think
these large audiences, and how would you like
I
to
would love
train
to
them?
go do that, but I don't think Google or Facebook or anybody like that is probably going to send 200 people to a
Yeah,
class.
they probably have a core team of 5-10 people.
Yeah, they might
Focused on
have
that.
already
Yeah,
been educated before they
sure.
ever went
Yeah,
there, and they might
yeah,
go to they still might take some of my classes. They're probably
yeah,
already NABCEP certified before they
yeah,
already got hired.
yeah,
But I'd love to do that. I mean, as you can see, that one class had over 10,000 people
yeah,
that have taken that class on HeatSpring. So that's a pretty big crowd. And a lot of times people, hire me to go teach classes in different places. It's kind of funny too, living in California, more solar in this state than any other state,
Yeah.
but I do a lot more in-person classes on the East Coast
Yeah.
for
Makes
some reason,
sense. Yeah.
just like,
Well, because they're earlier on in their solar education journey.
yeah,
Probably.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then plus there's more people, but then there's a whole bunch of states,
Right. Right. Yeah.
so.
Got it. And the customers are generally utility companies, or are they corporations
All
or
different things. Yeah.
installers, different
Yeah,
players in the value
a lot of
chain of
times
the solar
there's
industry?
even like people get grants to do workforce development, that kind of
Uh-huh.
thing.
Yep. Yep.
But it's just all completely different.
Yeah.
I've done a bunch of classes for grid alternatives in Washington, DC,
Yep.
which is
Sure, we
also
know
kind of
them.
interesting because their headquarters are a bike ride away from where I am.
Yep.
And then I go teaching for them across the other side of the country,
Yeah.
but
Makes
that's
sense.
just
Yeah.
the way
Yeah.
the grants work and things
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. Got it.
I've done a lot of classes for the Carpenters Union.
Yep. Yeah.
And
And you are also now obviously generating good business and income from your online content, if you will, right?
yeah, do you want to see my tax forms? No, I'm kidding.
No, but I'm interested in understanding how Solar Academy, like what courses are being found most useful, and like which ones should we highlight?
Yeah, so yeah, great question.
And also
And
curious as to how you are planning to evolve your business, and is there like what help can Solar Academy or anyone who listens to us in this conversation can bring to you? Like if you could wish for anything from the universe to help evolve your business, what would you wish for?
So yeah, I would say to get people to sign up for the HeatSpring classes. Become a HeatSpring affiliate. I think you probably already are. And then as far as which classes, typically people start off getting the NABCEP associate. So I have a NABCEP PV associate bootcamp. And a lot of people will also sign up for a combination package, and they would go for their PV installation professional, which is the gold standard NABCEP certification. And that requires 58 hours of training. And the first 18 would be the PV associate class. And so I would say that so it's got the PV associate plus the 40-hour advanced class. And those are my two most popular classes. I would say that that's over, even though I have 32 classes, I would say over half of my business are those two classes. And
So
maybe my 30-hour class is another one too.
So I'm gonna go here to this HeatSpring Sean White page and scroll down to the courses.
Heatspring.com/Sean, and then you can see just in the courses, so they're not the bundles, but it's the one that shows up first is the Solar PV Bootcamp NABCEP PV Associate Exam Prep.
Yep, that one.
And so that one, we could see that over 3,000 people have taken that class.
Yep.
And then next to it is the 30-hour advanced PV certification training. And that one will qualify people to take the other certification exams, like the PV specialist exam. So there's like the design specialist, commissioning maintenance specialist. There's also an installer specialist. And then to the right of that one, we have the 40-hour advanced PV certification training. And the 30-hour also, a lot of people take that one for continuing education. So if they already have their NABCEP certification, you go on there, you take that 1 30-hour class, and that covers you for the PVIP continuing education that you have to have every 3 years. And it's the easiest way to do it. And not just the easiest way, it's the funnest way to do it.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. So you are basically training people to take the NABCEP certification. Is HeatSpring giving this NABCEP certification, or do they go to somewhere else to get this certification test?
So we're an associate provider, and also I'm an associate provider. So sometimes people have me do it in person, and they just contact me directly. And HeatSpring is online. If they want to have me do it in person, they contact me directly. If they want me to do a Zoom class, they contact me directly.
Yeah.
And so myself and HeatSpring, we are PV associate providers. And then we're also, and so
But
you take our
who?
class and
Yep.
then you pay us $150
Yep.
and then you take the NABCEP associate exam.
Where do you take the NABCEP associate exam?
And you take it at home on your own computer most of the time or at a testing center, but almost everybody does it on their own computer with a webcam.
Okay, got it.
All NABCEP exams now are live online proctoring. And so
Wow.
there's somebody sitting there watching you on the webcam.
Oh, wow. Wow. Very cool. All right.
And then and then there's that would be for the associate. And then
Yep.
one of the other certification exams, you
Mhm.
don't sign up through the provider. You take we do provide for all the education requirements, but then you go apply on the NABCEP website.
Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you for that information.
Yep.
Right.
And then if somebody wants to learn more about, what it takes, you can go on to heatspring.com and figure that out. We have lots of different articles about what it takes to comply with the requirements of NABCEP. And I have lots of practice exams too that are very helpful. But you can another place to go find all the details about NABCEP certification is at the NABCEP certification handbook, and you could find that at nabcep.org.
Got it. Should we talk a little bit about NABCEP and its history and its role in the industry too? Or should
NABCEP history, great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so NABCEP's been around for a while somewhere. They started getting more and more popular around, it's hard to say when it started. Even when you go to the NABCEP conference, the people that started it have different stories, but somewhere around 2000. And I know that Ward Bauer was involved with that. And so Ward Bauer is a really cool guy. He endorses one of my books. I was on the NABCEP PVIP exam committee with him, but I haven't been on the committee for over 10 years. He's still on the committee. And so he helps write the NABCEP exam questions, but he invented the grid tie inverter in 1977.
Wow.
And Ward said he would get on my podcast. He's kind of retired now. I need to get a hold of him and talk to him about it again.
I wonder if
super
this
nice
is
guy.
one of the gentlemen that Jacob told me about that was living in Hawaii.
No, Ward is in out near Sandia Labs. He worked at Sandia Labs in Albuquerque.
Got it. Got it.
And
Cool.
and like I said, he's retired.
Got it.
He's older than me.
Yeah. And NABCEP is a nonprofit organization that's mainly in the business of it stands for North American
Board of Certified Energy Practitioners. Yeah, and so it would be like a nonprofit 501c3. I believe there's lots of things that are nonprofits that people aren't aware of, like NFPA that they make the National Electrical Code. UL, I believe, is also a nonprofit. And things like SEIA. And of course ACES, and I'm even run a nonprofit. And the nonprofit that I run is NorCal Solar, and we are an ACES chapter. And another thing too that's kind of interesting sometimes is if you wanted to find out, look at the tax forms of a nonprofit and find out how much the person that runs it gets paid, or the highest paid people at the nonprofit.
Is that public information?
Public information, really easy to find. Just go do a little Google search about, and you could search the nonprofit. And I believe it's the IRS that publish it, but you can see their tax forms. Actually, I was there yesterday.
Very cool. Nice.
But you can also see that my nonprofit has very low reporting requirements because we make pretty close to zero. And I do that on purpose even because I don't want to do all the paperwork.
Yeah. If you can get any entity. Any entity. Yes, I haven't started and sold to companies. I know. Yeah, very cool. So thanks for all this information, Sean. What else can we talk about that would help your business? Like, what if you could wish for any new business that helps, or anything coming your way
Uh-huh.
that would help your new initiatives
Well,
over the
yeah, like I
coming
also always
months.
have these like bucket list classes, and I wanted to teach a class in Australia, and I got to do that. So
Yeah.
that was a couple of years ago, and also a couple of years ago, I got to teach a class for Masdar in Abu Dhabi, and
That's a big company.
I've taught
Yeah.
a number of classes in Dubai, and so that was always kind of fun. There, maybe Saudi Arabia. You know, my
Yeah.
favorite place to teach a class would be, or to just to do something, would be in Antarctica. That's a place that I really want to go to. I
Wow.
want to have some sort of job. The South Pole
Yeah.
would be the best, but I'd go for McMurdo,
When
something
you
like that.
when you
And
go
it,
to these places, do you actually act as a practitioner too, in terms of an energy professional? Like, do you actually wire up things and install and make?
mostly just for training. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I do have a contractor's license and an
Yeah.
electrician license in California and all that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I do I work with
I
other companies using that license.
Yeah. Sometimes,
But
do you keep that edge sharp by doing some installations or getting involved in some projects here and there, or
yeah,
are you
yeah,
full-time teaching mostly?
yeah. I'm full-time teaching, and I do whatever else I can too.
Yeah,
Yeah. Hmm.
got it.
But
Okay.
maybe even double full-time, right? Like everybody in this industry
Yeah,
that wants to, yeah.
sure.
I remember we were talking about, like, when I was the earlier days, and when I was working with Stuart Wentworth, the founder of QuickMount, at the roofing company, and it and it was it was like, it was strange for me because I've always been an entrepreneur, and I had this job that ended after 8 hours, and I was like, what do I do? Like, I didn't really know what to do. It was still sunny outside,
Yeah,
and so then I would put together PowerPoints, and pretty soon I was using those PowerPoints, and
yeah,
but
very cool.
and so I've always been an entrepreneur, and it's just strange working for different people. Yeah, full time. And it's not like I don't work for other people. I work for I'm always I'm on Zoom calls this morning, and different Zoom calls trying to figure out scheduling for when I'm going to teach a class in New Jersey and stuff like that.
Yeah, cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well,
And
I think,
so my wish,
yeah,
though, is to just have this
Antarctica.
industry grow really
Okay.
a lot, to have a lot of people sign up for my heat spring classes, because that material is already there. And so I
Yeah,
spend way more time, like 100 times more time, putting together an hour of class than just when I go teach a class for an hour. So,
sure.
and I'm always super sharp and rested when I'm putting those together, and I have a lot of people editing those. So online is great. And
Yeah.
then with the heat spring classes too, I answer every question every day. So
Okay. So
like
you
if
have
somebody asks
that.
a
You
yeah, if
have
somebody
that.
asks a question today, I answer it at least by tomorrow, if not
Got it.
sooner. And it
And
makes it a lot easier too to do it that way, because I don't have like this big backlog of things, and people really like it. And it's kind of fun. It's my version of social media. So I
right.
get on there and I just, answer all these questions.
Yeah.
And
Almost like a ask me anything
yeah,
outlet
yeah,
for you,
yeah. And
basically.
people love the heat spring classes that I put together.
Yeah. See,
So
one thought that I had is, and I do know HeatSpring, Brian's HeatSpring platform, where, because I actually have a course there called Solar Entrepreneurship, where I actually, the way I put together my course was, again, it was a curation of several dozen videos and
uh-huh,
some talking from me,
great.
but I do answer some questions there as well sometimes. But I always wonder, someone who's so deep in knowledge like you, if it is the most efficient way to get that knowledge out is like through text-based Q&A. And so sometimes, like, give this a thought. When you are answering those questions on HeatSpring, what if you answered them on video and you talked about them in length, which would be probably more easily consumable and more comprehensive and maybe easier to communicate on video, certain aspects. And then you made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 minute videos and posted them onto your profile. This
Yeah,
could
you
be done
know,
on a HeatSpring or Solar Academy, you
you know
know?
what I would say too, is
Mhm.
that 90% of the questions or more, I already answer in the class. And
Right.
so like when people sign
So
up for the
then,
class, they have a whole year to take it. And
yeah,
so if you watch some video 2 weeks ago, you don't remember it sometimes.
yeah, got it.
Or more likely they're doing the first couple of videos and they ask some question that's answered 5 videos later or something like that.
Yeah,
So I do answer it there, but it's always good to repeat things. I mean, with learning, you got to learn things by going over them multiple times. It's nobody has a photographic memory. I think that's a myth.
yeah,
And you don't
sure.
just learn something by one time only.
Right.
You got
You
to
have to do it.
do it over and over again. If I wasn't doing all this teaching and I took 5 years off,
Yep.
what would I remember? There'd
Right.
be a whole lot that I just would be too rusty on.
Makes
So,
sense.
yeah.
Cool.
Mm.
All right. Well, we're an hour and 40 minutes in
Awesome.
almost, or an
That
hour
was
and a half.
fun. Time flies
Yeah.
when you're having fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So anything else we want to talk about?
Yeah, just it's been great talking to you, and I really cool that I'm reconnected with solaracademy.com, like
Thank you.
blast from the past. It's been
Yeah.
great talking to you. I'm sure we'll talk a lot more in the
Yeah.
future. And for my podcast listeners, thanks for listening, and go to solarsean.com to find out all my links and connections and everything, where to take these classes. Get a hold of
Yep.
me if somebody wants a class. If somebody is a key industry person, let me know. We'll put them on the podcast too. I always like learning about things myself, and this is a great way to learn things, is by doing what I'm doing the podcast, learning from you today, just right now. So thanks so much for all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, Sean. Thanks for being here and sharing everything you did. And very
Thanks,
happy to
Kareem.
co-produce this on your Solar Sean and on Solar Academy.
All
All
right.
right.
Thanks so much.
Talk to you
Okay.
soon. All right.
All right.